or if he was involved in any way. With that agreement in place, all parties were present for a plenary session to process the resignations of lawmakers running for local elections. Monday was a deadline to handle such resignations in order to hold by-elections for the vacant districts on the same day as the local elections on June 13th. Otherwise, by-elections would have been pushed back to April next year. Although rival parties have managed to get over one hurdle, there's concern of another tug-of-war brewing this week as they go over the specifics of their agreement. But pressure is mounting on the National Assembly at the same time, with the public growing tired of the inactivity at Parliament. And with local elections less than a month away, eyes will be on how lawmakers make up for the 6 weeks they've lost and how much progress they make on the stack of agenda items that were put on hold. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Shifting focus a bit, South Korean President Moon Jae-in has given North Korea 2 thumbs up for its decision to disclose a dismantlement of nuclear test site to the world. He also renewed his call to ensure the upcoming North Korea-U.S. summit is a success. Our Boon Gon-young reports.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in applauded North Korea's decision to shut down its nuclear testing ground later this month, referring to the move as the start of the regime's denuclearization process.
북한이 미국인 응유자의 석방에 이어 풍계리 핵실험장 폐기를 국제사회에 투명하게 공개하기로 한 것을 높이 평가하고 환영합니다.
Speaking at a weekly meeting of his top aides is a South Korean president who has been playing the mediator role in laying the groundwork for the North Korea-U.S. summit slated for June 12th in Singapore, said the latest measure by Pyongyang carries special meaning in 3 aspects. 1, it'll be the initial stage in the complete denuclearization of North Korea. 2, it can be viewed in positive light as it reflects North Korea's commitment to the success of the upcoming North Korea-U.S. summit. And 3, President Moon highly regards the move in that the North Korean leader is taking steps in fulfilling each promise made at the April 27th Inter-Korean summit. Mr. Moon added that both sides are making great efforts to make the first ever Kim-Trump summit a success, that South Korea is also working together to make that happen, as the entire world hopes to see that as well.
우리 정치권도 부디 이 문제만큼은 한 마음이 되는 정치를 국민들께 보여주기 바랍니다.
No mention of North Korea's failure to include international experts at the Punggye-ri shutdown as promised at the Inter-Korean summit.
It is quite possible that North Korea's ceremonial dismantlement will end up a ceremony, and there's no denying that both Presidents Moon and Trump are very much aware that expert presence is a must in verifying North Korea's denuclearization process. The fact that neither one has raised an issue but welcomed the move as a goodwill gesture is leading more analysts to believe that the real denuclearization deal is in the works and will be made at the historic Kim-Trump summit next month. Moon Gon-young, Arirang News, The Blue House. Satellite imagery shows North Korea has already started to dismantle its Punggye-ri nuclear test site. According to U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North, several key operational support buildings has been destroyed, and some rails for mining carts have already been removed. Other, more substantial buildings around the facility remain intact, and no tunnel entrances have been permanently shut down as of yet. 38 North also says this is expected to be because the complete destruction of the tunnels and the removal of facilities are to be shown to international journalists next week. Taking things to Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump will be meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the White House this Friday to discuss a wide range of global issues, which will definitely include the current situation on the Korean Peninsula. The White House said Monday that Trump and Guterres will talk about the denuclearization of North Korea, the ongoing conflict in Syria, and reforming of the United Nations. President Trump is also expected to reaffirm America's commitment to improving the UN's efficiency and effectiveness. Now, the move is seen as an attempt by Trump to boost cooperation with the UN ahead of the North Korea-U.S. summit to ensure Washington can squeeze the utmost help from nuclear-related UN bodies like the International Atomic Energy Agency. U.S. President Donald Trump's approach to North Korea's denuclearization is almost everything else he does is to go big. Experts say his larger-than-life and seemingly off-the-cuff approach to diplomacy is his way of pushing through the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula as quickly as possible. Lee Seung-jae reports.
Baseball. It's America's pastime, a sport where swinging for the fences means putting all your energy into your swing, so the end result is a home run. It's also the same approach the American president has been going for, from his tax reform to international trade to foreign policy. President Trump's upcoming summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is just the latest example of his go-big strategy. The high-risk, high-reward approach is what his advisors are saying helped produce results on long-standing issues, while his critics warn they could trigger dangerous repercussions. Optimists hope that in regards to his approach to North Korea, the reward will be great, and the end result is a quick denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and for North Korea, a massive economic boost that could help it one day rival that of the South.
If North Korea takes bold action to quickly denuclearize, the United States is prepared to work with North Korea to achieve prosperity on the par with our South Korean friends.
But will it work? While North Korea has called for a phased and synchronized approach to the dismantlement of its nuclear weapons program come June 12th in Singapore, President Trump may demand the program's immediate dismantlement, causing a rift in what seems like a clear path to peace.
It's a race against time. If North Korea says it will dismantle its nuclear weapons program itself, it'll take a bit of time, but if the U.S. decides to go in and dismantle it, it'll be a lot quicker.
Will Trump hit a home run with his go-big approach to North Korea? Will it lead to a quick denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula just like he hopes? Time will tell, but the historic Pyongyang-Washington summit will almost certainly show us the way the ball is flying. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
With the big summit day approaching fast, South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa spoke with their Singaporean counterpart Vivian Balakrishnan on Monday to seek the city-state's cooperation on the North Korea-U.S. summit that's scheduled to take place in Singapore on June 12th. While the two sides agreed that the summit is a highly important event for peace and denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula, Balakrishnan said Singapore will do its best to successfully host the summit, adding that it will seek help from Seoul, which has experience in hosting the recent inter-Korean summit and dealing with North Korea. South Korea's foreign minister also shared some of Seoul's pre-summit groundwork and explained South Korea's efforts to forge a lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. Japan's foreign ministry has once again made false claims over South Korea's Dokdo Island. In a report to Japan's cabinet, the ministry maintained its stance over Dokdo Island and also claimed that the waters between Korea and Japan, known as the East Sea, should be called the Sea of Japan under international standards. Now, the latest claims could damage South Korea-Japan relations, which seemed to be improving after the two countries held three-way talks with China for the first time in years recently and promised close coordination over North Korea and other issues. And now for a look at stories making headlines around the world. Israeli forces have killed dozens of Palestinians protesting at the Gaza border against the opening of the new U.S. embassy to Israel in Jerusalem. For more on this and other news around the world, we turn to our Do Aram at the News Center. Aram, so what's the latest?
Well, Simon, Palestinian health officials now say 58 people have been killed Monday and just under 3,000 others are said to have been injured. The assault came as a U.S. delegation, including President Trump's daughter and son-in-law, was attending a ceremony to officially open the new U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. The move, announced by Trump last year after recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, has infuriated Palestinians who see East Jerusalem as their capital of a future state. It also drew global criticism for jeopardizing a possible peace deal between the two regional rivals. Palestinians, led by Gaza's Islamist rulers Hamas, have been protesting along the Gaza border for weeks now in what has been dubbed as the Great March of Return. These demonstrations have resulted in casualties, but Monday's incident was the deadliest clash since the 2014 Gaza war. The Palestinian envoy to the United Nations condemned the Israeli assault and demanded UN action on the conflict in the West Bank.
These war crimes need to be dealt with by the Security Council and the international appropriate legal system to bring those criminals to justice, because the Palestinian people should not be the exception to the rule.
Other nations, including Britain and France, have called for restraint from the Israelis, while Turkey called it a massacre. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted that his military's actions were an act of self-defense of his country's borders. Israel's military claims it was responding to protesters throwing Molotov cocktails, burnt tires and stones at Israeli soldiers. The White House also backed his claims by blaming Hamas for the bloodshed.
The responsibility for these tragic deaths rests squarely with Hamas. Hamas is intentionally and cynically provoking this response, and as the Secretary of State said, Israel has the right to defend itself.
In other news, another suicide bombing by a family has rocked the Indonesian city of Surabaya, injuring at least 10 people. Monday's attack on a police station was carried out by a family of 5 riding motorcycles. It came only a day after a family of 6 killed at least 12 people in 3 attacks on churches. The 8-year-old daughter of the family responsible for Monday's bombing survived after being thrown by the force of the blast. Indonesia has seen a resurgence of Islamist militancy in recent years amid a rise in Islamic State presence overseas. The World Health Organization has released a plan to help countries wipe out trans fats from the global food supply in the next 5 years. It says industrial-made trans fats used in baked and fried goods as well as snacks are responsible for 500,000 deaths worldwide each year. Several governments around the world have been implementing measures to reduce trans fats, but the WHO is calling on others to follow suit and recommends that no more than 1% of a person's calories should come from trans fats. If these measures are upheld, the UN Health Agency is confident the world can reduce cardiovascular diseases within 5 years.
South Korea's import prices posted a 4th consecutive month of growth in April on the back of rising global oil prices. The Bank of Korea says the country's import price index gained 1.2% on month in April, the highest on-month gain since September last year. Dubai crude, South Korea's benchmark oil price, soared nearly 9% on month to an average of more than $68 a barrel last month. The export price index in April remained similar to that of the previous months, recording 83.85. Over the past 20 years, North Korea has enjoyed up to a 4.5% growth in real income growth through trade. This, according to South Korea's central bank. And that trade volume is likely to spike even more once the regime opens itself to the world. Our Kim Hae-sung with more.
North Korea saw trade boost its real income by up to 4.5% over the last 2 decades. According to the Bank of Korea Monday, North Korea's estimated gains from trade between 1996 and 2016 as a portion of its income averaged between 3.6 and 4.5%. The central bank said it used trade data on the North's trading partner countries sourced from the UN, the IMF, and the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency. In that 20-year period, North Korea's trade volume grew threefold from $2.2 billion to around $6.6 billion. The import penetration ratio, or the percentage of imports to domestic demand, which measures the openness of an economy, reached around 20% in 2016, up from the 13 to 18% range in 1996. After a trend of growth, the import penetration ratio dropped starting in 2008 as international sanctions against the regime's nuclear weapons program took a toll. The bank said the figure is lower than the OECD average of 36.6% and South Korea's 33.9%, but that it is similar to the range of France and the UK's 22%.
Trade with China, which accounts for 90% of North Korea's total trade, has been falling. International sanctions against Pyongyang were ratcheted up in 2016, making it really difficult for the regime to open up its economy.
Given that the North is currently under tough international sanctions, the bank said these data show that North Korea's economy will benefit from trade, which will help boost its national income. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
South Korea is pushing back against U.S. safeguards on South Korean solar panels and washing machines. Seoul's Trade Ministry says Monday that it has written to the United States asking for talks on resolving the dispute, adding that it will also notify the World Trade Organization. Under the WTO rules, the U.S. is obliged to launch two-way talks within 30 days of receiving a request for talks. If no agreement is reached within 60 days, Seoul can ask for the WTO to establish a dispute settlement panel. Seoul is protesting Washington's decision in February to slap heavy anti-dumping duties on solar panels and large washing machines from South Korea. With just 30 days left until the start of the Russian 2018 World Cup, the host nation is busy getting ready to welcome the world's best players. The 32 squads that'll be gunning for glory are fine-tuning their tactics, and the coaches are carefully selecting the players who will be joining them on the plane to Russia. Our Won Jung-hwan tells us more.
Russia is putting the final touches on its stadiums and facilities before this summer's World Cup.
With just a few weeks out, most of the infrastructure is ready. We just need to fine-tune certain details. Maybe brush up a few venues, but in general, we are as ready as we could be at this point.
The host nation, Russia, will raise the curtain on the tournament when it faces Saudi Arabia in Moscow on Thursday, June 14th. Over the course of a month, 32 teams will be pitting their skills against each other across the 11 host cities, with the finals set for July 15th in the capital city, Moscow. South Korea, which is in Group F, seen as the Group of Death, released its preliminary 28-man squad for the tournament on Monday. The South Korean squad includes Tottenham Hotspur striker Son Heung-min and 20-year-old winger Lee Seung-woo, who was regarded as one of Barcelona's most promising talents when he was in its youth side. South Korea's head coach Shin Tae-yong, who needs to trim 5 players from the squad before the World Cup, said at the Monday press conference that he will try to minimize any risks.
Injuries to the players may change my plans. Also, I might have to give up the strong points of certain players and choose other options.
South Korea, which is the second lowest ranked team at Russia 2018, will kick off its World Cup campaign against Sweden in Nizhny Novgorod on June 18th, before facing the other Group F teams, Mexico and Germany, shortly after. Won Jung-hwan, Arirang News.
Today, here in Korea, May 15th is Teacher Appreciation Day, a day for children and adults alike to show their teachers how much they appreciate their hard work and dedication. And to mark this day, the Education Ministry will host a special event for a number of teachers invited to the Sejong Convention Center located in the government city of Sejong. The tradition of giving carnations or other gifts to teachers may not be allowed due to the anti-graft Kim Young-lan law enacted back in 2016, but students are said to be opting for handwritten letters instead this year.
Good morning. It's forecast to be the hottest day of the season so far on this Teachers' Day here in Korea. In fact, Daegu and Gyeongsang-do provinces will have the hottest temperatures, hovering above 30 degrees Celsius this afternoon. And Seoul will get up to 28 degrees, and Gwangju and even Chuncheon in Gangwon-do province will top out at 30 degrees, but expect a cloud coverage today. The Korean peninsula has been trapped under a blanket of ultra-fine dust since yesterday. The dust levels are very high, but thankfully the air will improve a bit in the afternoon. With that, let's take a look at the international weather for viewers around the world. So South Korea will have mostly to partly sunny skies with summer-like temperatures in many parts, and North Korea will have plenty of sunshine on this Tuesday. New Delhi will have pleasant and steamy conditions after yesterday's severe dust storm. Meanwhile, those in Perth will have the warmest temperatures of the week this Tuesday, with a high of 28 degrees Celsius. And in the U.S., after getting pounded with rain and flood warnings, Florida and other southern states may face an early subtropical storm, while rain showers and thunderstorms will take over the northeastern U.S. nearly every day this week. And as for South America, weather in Buenos Aires looks promising after days of frequent showers. And taking you to Europe, those in London will have lots of dry and sunny weather this week. Lastly, to Africa, Tripoli will have rain showers on Tuesday, along with scattered thunderstorms. And that's all the weather update for now.
A day to remember, reminding all of us to reach out to our teachers once again, marking the day. That is it for us at the hour on Arirang News. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.